All right. So, the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, or Republic Act 10354, commonly known as the RH Law. So, this legislation is a critical step towards addressing various health issues in our country, particularly among women, children, and families, especially those in marginalized communities. All right, so let's begin by understanding the rationale behind the RH law and the elements and salient provisions that make it impactful. So, the rational law of the RH law was enacted with a vision to empower Filipinos by providing access to reproductive health goods and services, especially for the poor who often cannot afford them. This law seeks to address inequalities in healthcare, reduce maternal and infant mortality, and also promote responsible parenthood through accessible education and services. The law upholds the right of individuals and couples to decide freely and responsibly on matters related to reproduction, ensuring that the access to quality information and services. The RH law is comprehensive, covering various aspects of reproductive health. So, let me walk you through its 12 key elements. First is the family planning information and services. In this, it ensures that universal access to family planning services and contraceptives to enable couples to decide on the size of their families responsibly. Next is the maternal, infant, and child health and nutrition, including breastfeeding. With this, it promotes proper maternal care, breastfeeding, and adequate child nutrition to reduce maternal and infant mortality rates. Third, the prevention of abortion and management of post-abortion complication. So while abortion remains illegal, the law provides for the prevention of unwanted pregnancies and ensure care for women suffering post-abortion complications. Next, adolescent and youth reproductive health guidance and counseling. So with this, it recognizes the importance of educating and guiding the youth on reproductive health, helping them to make informed and be more responsible in making decisions. Next, the prevention and management of reproductive tract infections, or also called the RTIs, HIV or AIDS and STIs. So, the law includes measures to prevent and treat infections that affect the reproductive health of a person. Next, orientation and violence against women and children, or what we call the VAUC, and other forms of gender-biased violence, or the GBV. So with this, it promotes awareness and preventions of violence and abuse, which often have a reproductive health implications also. Next, education and counseling on sexuality and reproductive health. So in this, it ensures that individuals receive accurate information and guidance to make informed choices about their reproductive health. Next, the treatment of breast and reproductive tract cancers and other gynecologic conditions. So, in early detection and treatment of these conditions, these are emphasized to save lives and improve the quality of life of every individuals. Next is the male responsibility and involvement in men's reproductive health. So basically, in this case, men are encouraged to take active roles in family planning and, of course, reproductive health decisions. Next, prevention, treatment, and management of infertility and sexual dysfunction. The law provides access to medical care for couples facing infertility and sexual health issues. Next, reproductive health education for adolescents. So in this case, basically schools are tasked with teaching age-appropriate and culturally sensitive reproductive health education. So this also is very important. Next, we have our last one is we have the mental health aspect of reproductive health care. So, in this case, the law acknowledges the connection between mental health and reproductive health. And in this case, it ensures that psychological support is there when needed. Alright, so let's move on to the salient provisions of the RH law. So the RH law provides specific guidelines to ensure its effective implementation. So let us examine the following provisions. First, we have the midwives for skilled birth attendants. Every city and municipality is required to employ enough midwives and skilled attendants to provide proper care during childbirth. Next, we have the emergency obstetric care. So all provinces in this case and cities must have hospitals equipped with facilities and personnel to manage emergencies related to pregnancy and, of course, childbirth. Next, we have the hospital-based family planning. So government hospitals must offer family planning services including ligation, vasectomy, and intrauterine device or IUD placement. Next, we have the contraceptives as essential medicines. So contraceptives, these are classified as essential medicines, ensuring that these people, their inclusion, or these contraceptives, they're ensuring that their inclusion in the National Drug Formulary and availability in health facilities. Next, we have the reproductive health education. So the teachers are required to undergo adequate training to deliver reproductive health education effectively but tailor the needs of students. Alright, so next is employers' responsibilities. Employers must respect workers' reproductive health rights. Women should not face discrimination in hiring, regularization, and also retrenchment decisions. Last is the capability building of community-based volunteer workers. So, in this case, community workers will receive additional training to enhance their capacity to deliver reproductive health services effectively. So, the RH law, generally the RH law is a vital piece of legislation that addresses the health and well-being of Filipino families. And by understanding the rationale, elements, and provisions, we can appreciate how it aims to reduce health disparities, empower individuals, and promote responsible parenthood. So, in this, I hope that we'll use our knowledge to advocate for health equity and, of course, support initiatives that would benefit our communities.
So next, let's discuss the prohibited acts. The law also provides for penalties for persons who perform certain prohibited acts such as following knowingly with malicious intent, withholding or impeding the dissemination of information about the programs and services provided for in this act, or intentionally giving out incorrect information, refusing to perform voluntary ligation and vasectomy and other legal and medically safe reproductive health care services on any person of legal age on the ground of lack of spousal consent or authorization. Refusing to provide reproductive health care services to an abused minor and or an abused pregnant minor whose condition is certified to by an authorized disability official or personnel even without parental consent, particularly when the parent concerned in the perpetrator. Next, refusing to extend reproductive health care services and information on account of the patient's civil status, gender or sexual orientation, age, religion, personal circumstances, and nature of work. So, provided that all conscientious objections of healthcare services providers based on religious grounds shall be respected. And also provided further that the conscientious objector shall immediately refer the person sucking such as services to another healthcare service provider within the same facility or one who is conveniently accessible. And the last but not the least is provided further that conscientious objector shall provide refer the person provided finally that the patient is not in emergency or serious care as defined in RA 8344, penalizing the referral of hospitals and medical clinics to administer appropriate initial medical treatment and support in emergency and serious cases, and also requiring a female applicant or employee as a condition for employment or continued employment. So next, you have legislating RH. The road to the enactment of the RH law was a painstaking path. Yeah, that's correct. And the main blockade was the constitutional provision, particularly that provided on Article 2. So Section 12 of 1987 Constitution, which mandates that the states recognize the sanctity of life, it shall equally protect the life of a mother and the life of the unborn from conception. In this regard, the 1987 Constitution itself mandates that the Philippine government must recognize the importance of life and protect the life of the mother and unborn as much as artificial family planning methods such as IUDs and condoms are labeled as anti-life and against conception.
So, cross-cutting issues in gender and sexuality. Gender and Labor explores the relationship between gender equality and labor. It highlights policies on gender equality in the workplace and examines the status of gender equality across the labor sectors. So, first, employment sectors are the agriculture. Women do not have an equal opportunity to acquire land or register their own name. So, today we are talking about the connection between gender, work, and fairness. In many workplaces, policies are designed to make sure both men and women have equal opportunities. This topic looks at how fair things are for women and men in different jobs and industries, and what can be done to make things better for everyone. So, in farming, women face challenges. They often don't have the same chances as men to own or register land in their name. This makes it harder for them to succeed in agriculture or to make independent decisions about their farms. So next is industry and manufacturing. The number of women working in economic zone is estimated to represent 64% of total employment and may be higher in some industries such as electronics and apparel. So, in industries and factories, women make up a big part of workforce, especially in areas like electronics and clothing. In fact, women contribute about 60% of total workforce in economic zones. This shows how important women to manufacturing and industrial work.
So now let us discuss the tourism sector. It appears that tourism planning has not included women or has had insufficient regard for gender issues. Within the tourism industry, relatively few for women have the educational qualifications or foreign language skills to compete for front of house positions in the hotel industry as tour guides or in travel agencies, and women are more likely to be employed as housekeepers, waitresses, or similar low-level positions. Targeted educational programs could provide women with the necessary qualifications to climb the job ladder, which could progressively help to rectify the imbalance between work opportunities for men and women and eliminate gender gaps in tourism employment. The tourism industry has historically overlooked women's needs and perspectives. Women are underrepresented in leadership roles such as hotel management and tour guides due to limited education and foreign language skills. Consequently, they dominate low-level positions like housekeeping and food service. Targeted education and training programs could bridge these gender gaps, empowering women to access better paying jobs and leadership opportunities. So next is the business processing sector. The Philippines Information Technology Business Process Outstanding Roadmap 2011 to 2016 is not gender responsive and does not address women's constraints in accessing higher paid work in non-voice services or the likely growth in information technology and engineering. These matters, as well as the pay differentials between men and women and employment conditions, require specific government attention. The Philippines IT business process outsourcing or BPO industry lacks gender responsiveness. Women face significant barriers accessing higher paying non-voice services and IT engineering roles. This results in disparities between men and women. To address these issues, government intervention is necessary to promote gender equality and provide opportunities for women's advancement. So the next one that I will be discussing is the government services sector. Public sector employment is an important source of jobs with better pay and conditions for women than many other industrial sectors. But women are constrained by being predominantly employed in traditional gender stereotypes care sector, government occupations such as health and education, and they are underrepresented in the higher paying subsectors. The Philippines has strong gender mainstreaming programs, which has given women greater access to government employment generally, but women in the civil sector may still be underpaid given their levels of education, experience, and ability. So women face challenges in public sector employment despite the Philippines' strong gender mainstreaming programs. They are concentrated in traditional care sectors like health and education, while being underrepresented in higher paying subsectors. Women may also be underpaid relative to their education, experience, and skills. So, addressing these disparities is crucial to promoting gender equality in government employment.
So, entrepreneurship. Female entrepreneurship in developing countries. So, it highlights a significant increase in the number of female entrepreneurs, particularly in developing countries. Research and female-led micro, small, and medium enterprises is seen as a key driver of employment, especially for women. Studies show that women-led businesses tend to be more focused on livelihood creation, with many female entrepreneurs motivated by necessity rather than opportunity. This necessity driven entrepreneurship arises from women seeking to escape unemployment as evidenced by the survey in Vietnam. This is a important point for entrepreneurship discussions because it demonstrates that female entrepreneurship is not just about economic growth, but it's also deeply tied to social issues such as unemployment, poverty, and gender inequality. Women entering entrepreneurship often face different challenges compared to their male counterparts, and their businesses tend to serve as a means of survival rather than a source of profit maximization. Salient policies on gender equality in the labor market. To discuss the policies in the Philippines that promote gender equality in the labor market, particularly for women. The country has ratified several International Labor Organization or ILO conventions and United Nations Human Rights Covenants. The 1987 Philippine Constitution guarantees equality for women and men under the law. There are specific laws aimed at protecting women's rights in the workplace, such as Republic Act 6725, 7192, and 7877, which prohibit discrimination and sexual harassment. And also the Magna Carta of Women Republic Act 9710, a significant piece of legislation aimed at promoting gender equality by ensuring women's access to opportunities and support both in the workplace and in the society. And despite these frameworks, implementation remains an issue Many Filipino women are unaware of their rights, and even when they do know, the system for filing complaints is not straightforward. This highlights a critical point in the discussion. Legislative frameworks may be in the place, but effective implementation and awareness are essential for real change. So, challenges in the labor market. Despite the existence of policies, gender inequality in the labor market persists. Women still face discrimination and unequal treatment. These could be a discussion point on the ongoing challenges for female entrepreneurs. Policies might be in place, but cultural attitudes, social norms, and lack of awareness can still hinder women's ability to fully benefit to the law. So, for female entrepreneurs, the lack of access for financial resources, networks, and markets are also significant challenges. These factors can limit their growth potential and contribute to the gap between men and women in entrepreneurship. So, in summary, while there is a increasing presence of women entrepreneurs, especially in developing countries, gender equality in the labor market remains a significant challenge. The Philippines has made strides with strong policies in place, yet real progress requires overcoming issues related to awareness, implementation, and social attitudes. For entrepreneurship, especially women led entrepreneurship, these obstacles must be addressed to ensure that policies are more than just theoretical and that women can fully capitalize on the entrepreneurial opportunities available to them. This discussion points the need for more robust support system for women entrepreneurs, better implementation of gender equality laws, and a continued focus on changing cultural and societal norms that hinder women's economic development.
Okay, today I'm gonna discuss about gender and media. So this discussion will explore the complex interplay between gender and media representation, examining how media portrays and constructs gender roles and how these portrayals impact societal perceptions and behaviors. So let's delve first the media representation. Media representation shapes audience knowledge and understanding. Representation reflects ideologies, belief systems, and stereotypes. Multiple factors influence media representation, including producers' values. Media representation significantly influences how audiences perceive the world, shaping knowledge and understanding through careful selection of stories and framing of issues. It reflects underlying ideologies, belief systems, and often perpetuates harmful stereotypes about social groups. Multiple factors contribute to media representation, including economic pressures, political influences, societal norms, and the values and biases of media producers. Understanding these influences is crucial for critically analyzing the media content and recognizing its potential impact on our perceptions. So now, let's proceed to the media consumption. First, 81% of Filipinos watch TV, making it the primary source of information. Second, TV influences perception on various aspects. With 81% of Filipinos regularly watching television, it serves as the primary source of information for a significant portion of the population. This widespread viewership exerts considerable influence on Filipino perceptions, shaping opinions on social issues, political views, cultural values, and even consumer behavior. While television remains a dominant force, the growing influence of social media and online news platforms is diversifying media consumption patterns and contributing to a more complex media landscape in the Philippines.
Alright, so let's have media stereotypes. So first, we have stereotypes oversimplified groups exaggerating characteristics. So media often uses stereotypes to simplify complex groups of people into generalized traits or behaviors. This oversimplification can lead to exaggerated and inaccurate portrayals that don't reflect the true diversity within those groups. Then we have stereotypes can harm disadvantaged people like the LGBTQ community. Negative or misleading stereotypes can reinforce prejudice and discrimination for marginalized communities like LGBT community. So these harmful portrayals can perpetuate stigma, misunderstanding, and social exclusion. The third one we have LGBT representation in the Philippine media is limited and often negative. So in the Philippines, the representation of LGBT individuals in media is still sparse and frequently colored by negative stereotypes. This can impact public perception and contribute to the ongoing challenges faced by the LGBT community in gaining acceptance and equality. Then we have LGBT representation in the Philippine media. So first, we have LGBT characters are often relegated to sidekicks, victims, or villains. So in many TV shows and movies, LGBT characters are not given central roles. Instead, they frequently appear as supporting characters, often cast in negative or stereotypical roles like victims or villains, which can perpetuate harmful stereotypes. Then the second one is few LGBT main characters exist in the local and international TV. So there is a noticeable lack of LGBT characters in leading roles on both Philippine and international television. So this underrepresentation means that LGBT stories and experiences are often marginalized, reducing visibility and representation for these communities. The third one is LGBT celebrities sexually is rarely highlighted. So the sexual orientation of LGBT celebrities is often downplayed or ignored in the media coverage. So this can contribute to lack of open discussion and awareness about LGBT issues, making it harder for the public to understand and accept diverse sexualities. Then the fourth one is coverage focuses on coming out stories, Pride March events, and controversies. So media coverage of LGBT issues tends to concentrate on specific themes such as coming out stories, Pride March events, and controversies. While these are important topics, this narrow focus can limit the portrayal of the everyday lives and broader experiences of LGBT individuals.
So now, let's discuss about the progress and challenges, but we will first tackle about the progress. So in progress, we have the increased media coverage indicates growing social acceptance. So it means that media outlets are now more likely to cover LGBT-related news, stories, and events, signaling a growing acceptance and recognition of the LGBT community's existence and experiences. So second, we have the landmark TV shows and movies address LGBT issues. So it means that pioneering films and television series explore LGBT themes, characters, and storylines, helping raise awareness, promote empathy, and challenge stereotypes. Examples include Brokeback Mountain, Moonlight, and Sense8. So now we have the challenges. We will tackle about the challenges. So in challenges, we have the lack of awareness on SOGI. So what is SOGI? SOGI stands for Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, and Expression. Among media practitioners persists. Despite progress, many media professionals still lack understanding and sensitivity regarding LGBT concepts, potentially leading to inaccurate representation, stereotyping, or erasure.
Before we proceed to the lesson proper, I will give you first a words that also have a connection to our topic. The first word is the activism. Activism is the collective efforts to shape and transform political, socio-cultural, and other environmental status quo. The second one is the participation. Participation contributing and transforming social realities by engaging and taking part in various aspects of an initiative or reform. And the last word is the collaboration, which means working together towards a goal. So now, we will proceed to our lesson and I will be discussing the definition of heteronormativity and its key features. So, what is heteronormativity? Heteronormativity refers to a worldview or societal framework that assumes and privileges heterosexuality as the natural, default, or normal sexual orientation. It also often assumes binary gender roles, the male and female, and promotes traditional, cisgender relationships as the standard. So the key features of heteronormativity include the assumption of heterosexuality, which is a default expectation that people are straight unless proven otherwise. For instance, assuming a man has a girlfriend or wife rather than a boyfriend or husband. The second one is the binary gender norms. It is the belief that there are only two genders, which is the male and female, and each has a specific roles and behaviors. The third one is the privileges and norms. Social structures and institutions often favor heterosexual, cisgender relationships, which can marginalize or disadvantage LGBTQ individuals. The last one is the cultural expressions. Medias, laws, education, and traditions frequently reinforce heteronormative perspectives, making other identities less visible or stigmatized.
Next is heteronormativity assumes everyone is straight and fits traditional gender rules. These create problems like discrimination and exclusion. Non-heterosexual and non-cisgender people can feel left out, invisible, or they are treated unfairly. Next is reinforcing stereotypes. It enforces rigid ideas about how men and women should behave, limiting self expression. And next is we have impact on relationships and policies. So it causes misunderstanding and a bias on personal relationships and leads to unfair laws or policies against the LGBTQ plus people. And to fix this, we need to recognize the problem. So in order for us to understand, we need to recognize the problem. It is to understand how these assumptions shape our culture and systems. Promote next is we have the promote inclusivity, in where we create environments and policies that respect and include everyone, regardless of their identity or regardless of their gender or sex. Next, we have the heteronormativity violence. It is an example of heteronormative violence is when LGBTQ plus individuals face physical or verbal attacks, harassment, or discrimination because of their relationships or identities from societal expectations. For instance, a same sex couple being assaulted or harassed in public for holding hands reflects violence rooted in heteronormative beliefs. So, um, so heteronormative violence occurs when LGBTQ plus individuals experience violence because of their relationships with because of their relationships or their identities. So examples of heteronormative violence. There are lots of examples of heteronormative violence. So first one is physical or verbal attacks. This is the against LGBTQ plus individuals or and next is we have the harassment or bullying based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Next is we have the discrimination in employment, in housing, or healthcare. Next is we have public shaming or humiliation of same-sex couples. Next is we have conversion therapy, which attempts to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. Next is we have this image provide the example of a same-sex couple being assaulted, just like what in the PPT or the slide.
the image provide the example of a same-sex, or the text provide the example of a same-sex couple being assaulted or harassed in public for holding hands. So this is a clear example of violence rooted in heteronormative beliefs, as it demonstrates intolerance towards expression of non-heterosexual relationships.